This is a sports catastrophe production. Hey there, Heather, it's Jeff Cutter and welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe Birthday Boy. And the birthday boy for today, November the 16th, was a phenom in the world of baseball who was one of the best pitchers around when he was making his debut. And then, unfortunately, drug addiction would ruin him and derail him. So, basically, Gooden, well, I guess I could say it, Dwight Gooden, he's now 57 years old. But Dwight Gooden had a lot of potential, and then he pitched for a few teams after his 95 drug suspension, and he just finished off in decency and all that. So anyway, Dwight Gooden was drafted in the first round of the 1982 MLB draft, 5th overall by the New York Mets, and he looked pretty good. He would make his Major League debut April 7th, 1984, at the age of 19. He had a reputation with his 98-mile-per-hour fastball and sweeping curveball. He was named Dr. K because, K is the strikeout thing. And Gooden would have a rooting section at Shea Stadium that called himself the K Corner. All that. When Gooden took the mound in inning number 5 of the 1984 All-Star Game, he was the youngest player to appear in an All-Star Game. And the funny thing is, he struck out the side. He struck out Lance Parrish, Chet Lemon, and Alvin Davis. Parrish and Lemon of the Tigers and Alvin Davis of the Mariners. In fact, in the 4th inning, Fernando Valenzuela struck out the side, took down Dave Winfield of the Yankees, Reggie Jackson of the Angels, and George Brett of the Royals. Dwight Gooden won 17 games, the most by a 19-year-old since 1964, and the second most by a Mets rookie, just behind Jerry Koosman's 19 wins in 1968. Gooden looked good. He had 276 strikeouts, which led the National League in strikeouts. He broke the rookie record of 245, and he looked good and all that. He had the then Major League record for strikeouts per 9 innings of 11.39, breaking Sam McDowell's record. He was Rookie of the Year in 1984. Well, obviously he should have been. And he even finished second in Cy Young. Of course, it was a little controversial because the winning pitcher was Rick Sutcliffe, who won 16-1 with the Cubs. Fine, but Sutcliffe started his career in the American League with the Indians and was traded. But anyway, Gooden would actually do much better in 1985. He won 24 games, got 268 strikeouts, and his 1.53 ERA was the second lowest in the live ball era behind Bob Gibson's famous 1.12 in 1968. So he had the pitching triple crown, winning win, strikeout, and ERA titles. He was just amazing and all that. He actually threw 49 consecutive innings without giving up an earned run. Less than Don Drysdale's record. And all that. But, I mean, the highest quality start percentage for a given season was Dwight Gooden in 1985. 33 of them in 35 games. I think, if memory serves me right, it's a pitcher who goes through 7 or more innings without giving up more than 3 earned runs, or is it 2? So, anyway, he was fantastic and all that. The Mets were so close to winning the NL East, but they lost to the Cardinals. Anyway, Gooden would win the Cy Young Award. Obviously. Gooden had power. 1986, he kind of slowed down. He was 17-6, not really that good. His 200 strikeouts were 5th in the National League, so he still struck out people, but not at a higher rate. But he was the youngest pitcher to start an All-Star game at 21 years, 241 days of age. Gooden was the Mets ace. Unfortunately, though, he lost the NLCS opener to Mike Scott and the Astros 1-0 and then got a no decision in Game 5, even though he pitched 10 innings of one-run ball. He was terrible in the World Series. But he couldn't get past the 5th inning in either of his 2 starts. Thankfully, the Mets would win 4 of the 5 non-Gooden starts. So basically, the Red Sox won both games in which Gooden pitched. Anyway, Gooden didn't even attend the team's victory parade. He said that he had been using drugs at his dealer's apartment. A big red flag. Unfortunately, Gooden was arrested December 1996 in Tampa. There would even be riots in 1987 because the report cleared the police of misconduct towards Dwight Gooden. Substance abuse problems would arise, and Gooden tested positive for cocaine during spring training. He went into a rehab center to avoid being suspended and didn't even start till June 5th. Gooden still did okay. There was a book about his drug use and missed games that ruined the Mets' chances to defend their title. In 1988, he did decent, 18-9. Gooden unfortunately made a big boo-boo in Game 4 of the NLCS against the Dodgers, with a chance to put the Mets up 3-1 in the NLCS. He gave up a game-winning home run to Mike Scioscia, who did not hit that many home runs. The Dodgers would end up winning the game in extra innings and won Game 7. Gooden would have a big shoulder injury, but rebounded in 1990, pitching in a 19-win season. Unfortunately, after being injured in 91, his career went dip. Although drug abuse was blamed for Gooden's pitching troubles, some people said that his early workload hurt too. Gooden actually pitched through over 10,000 pitches in a 3-year thing. But that was, warm-up pitchers count too. Gooden would hurl 276 innings in 1985. And in fact, only 2 pitchers until as of this season have thrown that many innings. Charlie Hood and Roger Clemens in 1987. Unfortunately, Gooden had some issues. 92, he had a losing season. It was the first time he lost more than he won. 93, he couldn't improve. He was 12-15 for one of the worst teams in baseball history, the 93 Mets. During the strike-shortened season in 94, he was 3-4 with a 6+ ERA, and then he got tested positive for cocaine use and was given a 60-day suspension. He tested positive again while serving a suspension, which meant that he was suspended for the 1995 season. The day after receiving the second suspension, Gooden had a loaded gun to his head. Thankfully, he didn't pull the trigger. And the weird thing about 95 was that the Dwight Gooden Times Square mural was replaced. It had been there for 10 years, even at its lowest mark. All that. Anyway, Gooden was taken out of the Mets. In 96, he would be a free agent with the Yankees. He did pretty well for himself. He worked on his mechanics. He had a shortened windup, and it worked. He pitched a no-hitter against the Seattle Mariners in May of 96. His no-hitter was the first by a Yankee right-hander since Don Larson in 1956. I can't believe it. No Yankee had thrown a no-hitter. All the no-hitters the Yankees threw after 1956 were lefties. I guess Brigetti, but anyway, that's amazing. He was 11-7. He had flashes of his form. He was 10-2 in a span from late April to early August. And he was an asset for the Yankees because David Cone had to lose a lot of the season due to his shoulder aneurysm. Unfortunately, Gooden had fatigue and a possible injury, so he was left off the postseason roster and could have won a World Series ring. Anyway, he would pitch a few times. In 98, he would sign with Cleveland and have moderate success. He would have 2 no decisions in the playoffs in 98. '99, he would release his autobiography about his alcohol and cocaine abuse. In 2000, he pitched for Houston and Tampa, but was back with the Yankees mid-season. He would go on to have a good second stint with the Yankees as a spot starter / long reliever. He would make a couple of relief appearances in the playoffs. He didn't pitch in the 2000 World Series against the Mets. It would have been awkward. But anyway, Gooden won a World Series ring when the thing happened. Unfortunately, Gooden could not win a postseason game for the life of him. He did good in the '86 NLCS with a 1.06 ERA, but both the games he pitched in were no decision. So Gooden had a chance to do well, but then he got cut by the Yankees in 2001 in spring training. He ended his career with 194 wins, but a lot of them were before the age of 25. He was on the Hall of Fame ballot in 2006, but only got 3%, which meant that he was removed from future Hall of Fame consideration, and the Veterans Committee would be basically the only reason why he'd get into the Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, Gooden had a lot of legal troubles, especially with alcohol and all that. Unlike Darryl Strawberry, his fellow 1986 Met, who had drug problems, he didn't get himself clean as well as Strawberry did. So you gotta worry about Doc Gooden. But man, the 1980s were all full of Dwight Gooden goodness, and I just wish that he just knew what to do. I wouldn't. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.